What's going on, Hokie Nation? Thanks so much for joining us on your Monday afternoon ride home. We got a great show for you here today. We're starting off by talking Virginia Tech wrestling, and then we'll dive into both men's and women's basketball in our second segment today. It's Monday the 12th in December right here from Blacksburg, and it's TSL Today, getting things going right now. We appreciate you however you may be listening or watching, whether you're on YouTube or Spotify, and we appreciate all of your feedback as well. So be sure to go ahead, leave a like, comment, and subscribe below. Giovanni, your host today, straight across the way, it's Jack Brizendine. Behind the scenes, producing today is Carter Hill. These two are going to swap when we move from wrestling to basketball in the second segment, but for now, we got Jack on. Jack's our wrestling insider right here at TSL. Jack, big win for Virginia Tech. The 9th-ranked Hokies take down the 7th-ranked Missouri Tigers for the second season in a row. This time, it's in Blacksburg inside Castle Coliseum. You were there. You were on site. You wrote a fantastic story that can be found right on the Tech Sideline website. Give it to us. How was this? How big was this win for Virginia Tech?
Yeah, this was a huge win. I think when you look at who really played a part, you look at some of the depth pieces. At 125, it's kind of been said all year that weight class hasn't really had a final or maybe a secure starter, so it's going to probably go back between Cooper Flynn and Eddie Ventresca. On Sunday, it was Cooper Flynn who got the nod, and he had a really, really crucial major decision victory over Missouri's Peyton Moore to get bonus points for Virginia Tech, which proved to be really critical in the end. Another guy, Clayton Ulray, who was filling in for the injured Bryce Andonian, took down Logan Geoffrey. Looked a little tough towards the end. He had to really defend some really good shots from Geoffrey towards the end of the match, but was able to cling on for what ended up being a really, really crucial win for the Hokies. And then another major decision from Hunter Bolin, who looked really good against number 23, Sean Harmon. He and Cooper Flynn both won 13-3 to bring home bonus points, which, both teams won 5 matches each. So Virginia Tech was the only team to get bonus points on matches. That was really critical because they won by 2.
So how does that play in here? Like walk us through the drama of this match here between Virginia Tech and Missouri. It looked like it was back and forth. All of a sudden, Hokies are up 17-9, and Missouri gets right back into it. You said they won 3 of the last 5 matches. So how was Missouri able to climb back, and then Virginia Tech able to remain the dominant performance?
Missouri's got a lot of really good wrestlers. I mean, you look at number 1 Keegan O'Toole, number 1 Rocky Elam. They're just stacked from top to bottom. But to Virginia Tech's credit, so are the Hokies. Virginia Tech actually lost three of the final 5 matches, which is why Flynn and Bolin's major decision victories were so important, because Missouri got 5 decision victories, which for those who aren't familiar with wrestling is worth 3 team points. So that's 5 times 3, it's 15. Virginia Tech had 3 decision victories and 2 major decision victories. Now, major decision victory is when you win by 8 or more points in your match. So they got an extra point. A major decision victory is worth 4 points for your team. So those 2 points that Flynn and Hunter Bolin sort of added on ended up being the difference when Virginia Tech wins 17-15.
What was the most exciting matchup that we got to see? Was it Makai Lewis and Peyton Mako, or was it something else on this schedule?
I think you could answer that a number of ways. I think number 9, Brock Mahler, taking down number 12, Caleb Henson. That was a really good match. Showed really where Caleb was at as far as how developed and how talented he is, considering he's just a true freshman. I think, obviously, you got to look at Makai Lewis taking down Peyton Mako for the second straight year. That was probably the highlighted match of the night. But as far as what got the crowd most engaged was definitely Clayton Ulray's win over Logan Geoffrey. I mean, that place just went nuts when he won that match, just because I think of the grit that he displayed towards the end. And I don't know for those who watched it on TV, but as someone who was there, Castle exploded after his win. So that was really cool to see for him.
3,000 strong in attendance at Castle Coliseum. So what does this mean for the Hokies? Moving up, probably going to trade spots here with Missouri and move up to like 7th in the country? Or where do you see them fitting in as far as the national rankings go following this big win?
Yeah, I think they'll move up. But I think as far as what this win really means is something more than the poll. Not to lead away from your question, but I think this kind of shows that Virginia Tech can compete with another really high caliber wrestling program, which is the kind of reps that you want to get for your team as it's sort of trying to train for that end of the year skid. in March and the NCAA tournament. So that's one of the things that I think was probably the most promising thing that you saw yesterday. And you saw guys scoring points, which head coach Tony Roby said all offseason that that's what he wanted from his guys. And he also said that's the kind of wrestling that wins in March. So I think that was really, really cool to see yesterday. And that was probably the biggest takeaway of what sort of stood out positive-wise for the Hokies outside of the win.
All right, Jack, what's coming up next for Virginia Tech wrestling? I know they got Lindenwood, Stanford, but then some huge ones coming up. You got Cornell at Moss Arts Center. How tough is this slate up ahead for the Hokies?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you're going to go to California to wrestle Stanford and Lindenwood. Should be the favor in that match. And then like you mentioned, Cornell at the Moss Arts Center. I believe Cornell is ranked in the top 13 right now, so that's going to be a really big match.
They were top 6, weren't they?
They were top 6, but the rankings always shift throughout the year. And either way, they've got a lot of really good wrestlers. And just being at the Moss Arts Center, that's going to be one of the best wrestling matches probably to this date that's been taking place at the Moss Arts Center. So that's going to be really exciting. But the schedule's tough, and it was supposed to be tough. I mean, these are the kind of matchups that these guys are seeing right now that they're going to see down the line, which is sort of by design by the staff to get these hard matches out of the way. So that way when the NCAA tournament comes, the ACC tournament comes, these guys are used to high quality competition. So a lot of big matches down the way, but that's exactly what the team wants.
What is the rest of the ACC looking like right now in wrestling? Who's Virginia Tech's biggest competition coming up once ACC play hits? And who should the Hokies be able to take care of? And, who sits at the top of the conference?
I think right now Virginia Tech sits at the top, but I think anyone who's really paid attention to the ACC as far as wrestling the last couple of years knows that it's always going to be between Virginia Tech and NC State. And so that's always going to be the team that sort of competes with Virginia Tech for that title. It's sort of gone back and forth the last couple of years, but I think Virginia Tech this year might have a little bit more on NC State. NC State's been plagued by a couple injuries, and Virginia Tech looks like a better team than it was last year with some young talent and some really good guys coming back and wrestling really focused. So I think Virginia Tech probably right now is the favorite to win the ACC, but it's not going to be a cakewalk.
All right, Jack, your final thoughts on Hokies wrestling before we let you go.
I don't know. I just think that, I think this team is really poised for a lot of success in the future. And I think yesterday's match against Missouri, a really, really talented wrestling program. I think the performance not only win, but also have some really close matches with some freshmen, Tom Crook, Caleb Henson, and then see some of these guys like Hunter Boland and Mekhi Lewis just show that they've still got it. I think that's a really promising thing and should really excite Hokies wrestling fans as we approach March.
All right, Jack Brizendine, our TSL Wrestling Insider, live on set today. Thanks so much for being here, Jack. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, Virginia Tech cracks the AP top 25, and the women's side is in the top 6 for the first time in program history. Much more left on TSL today after this.